little bit about brand magic. For those people who don't know me, which not that many of you, but my name is Debbie O'Connor. I am a brand alchemist. I am the CEO of Brand Magic, and I grew up in South Africa. I grew up in apartheid South Africa, like many of the other South Africans that are here. And what was incredible about growing up in that environment is that we had sanctions placed on us. So it meant that we didn't grow up with McDonald's, Nike, Snickers, Mars bars, Pepsi. We didn't have any of those. And yet myself, growing up in the African bush, I actually still knew about a lot of those brands. I still knew about them, not because they were sold in the shops, because they weren't, not because they were advertised on TV, because they weren't, but because people would go overseas and they would experience these brands and they would come back and they would share this experience about going to a takeaway burger place, which back in those days, everyone used to go to a restaurant and sit down and eat a burger. You know, this takeaway business was unheard of. And they would come back and they would be sporting these sexy sneakers called Nike, while the rest of us were wearing our Dunlop Volleys, right? Which have come back in fashion. But this is why my passion for branding first started, was in this particular space. And when I started my branding agency 24 years ago, what I realized was that most people, when it came to branding, thought that branding was just a logo. But branding is so much more than that. And I realized I had to develop a system that would take my clients on a journey of understanding, while being able to allow me to build out a brand rather than just design a logo. So this is where the concept of brand magic as it currently stands, where it started. And from there, I developed this system that was a word association that I could take my clients through and be able to share with them the magic of what branding actually is. Now, let's fast forward 24 years, and I moved to the Sunshine Coast about 6 months ago. And lo and behold, my neighbor, who literally lives right next door to me, is the amazing Scott Bouquet, everybody. I mean, you can't write this stuff. Having a surname like Bouquet, it's just amazing. So Scott is an absolute marketing wizard. He has an agency called Ideas Marketing, and he's got a digital agency. And so we went for a walk one day, and while we were walking his dogs, we started chatting and found out that he is in digital marketing, I am in branding. And I said, oh yes, you know, I've got this business called Brand Magic. And he went, oh, Brand Magic. He said, there's a book called Brand Magic. I'm afraid someone's already cutting your grass. And I said to him, let me grab one. And, whoops. And I said to him, is it a black book with some foiling on the front? And he said, absolutely it is. So Scott actually had my book when we were on this walk. So the serendipity was already there. We started chatting, and every time Scott saw me, he said, Deb, I think we can do better. Deb, I think that we can do something amazing here. So eventually we're like, oh, go on, let's just bite the bullet and let's create something amazing, which is Brand Magic today, as we're going to show you. So those people who already have the license, Tiz and Kylie, you're going to see it's on steroids. It's next level for you. We're not going backwards. We're not even going forwards. We are leaping into the future here, which is absolutely amazing. So let's get started. So the first thing I wanted to quickly do is a bit of a temperature check. I wanted to find out how some of you are feeling in the room. And honestly, if you don't feel any of these things, hats off to you. But I would like to see, and pop it in the chat, which ones relate to you the most. Firstly, do you feel like your business is in a cycle of feast or famine? Either way is stressful. So you either have so much work that you just can't deal with it and it's super stressful, or you are in the famine side where there's just not enough work coming in and it's super stressful, right? Maybe you've got clients who actually don't want to pay what you are worth, and you feel that you are overworked and you are underpaid. Maybe you are keeping clients on track. You find just keeping them on track is so draining because they keep going off in different directions. So that is exhausting in itself. And you are also seeing some of your clients, when you hand over the brand or you hand over the reins for them to take on their marketing, whatever, they start to butcher your brand, and it's absolutely killing your soul because you have worked so hard on these things. So can anybody relate to those? You can even just put up your hand or pop it in the chat and let me know. But if you are not feeling any of those things, yeah, the underpaid, totally hear that. Yes, Tiz, you're feeling that as well. So yes, butchering the brand. Look, this is the reality of the work that we do, right? And unfortunately, it's something that is super frustrating. Yeah, Kylie, clients killing the brand, it like kills your soul, right? So I'm going to do a little bit of harsh reality right now. So please, no, I'm not going to ask for forgiveness. I'm just going to put it out there. So this is the harsh reality for many of us. We are great creatives, but we're not necessarily great business owners. We shy away from difficult conversations, often because we are people pleasers. And we find it hard to say no to these clients. We find it hard to market ourselves and bring in new leads because blowing our own trumpet is not something that we do naturally. And also the whole thing of managing workflow, that scope creep that comes in, and then managing client expectations can often be quite overwhelming. And then because we're people pleasers, well, then we allow the scope creep to come in and it eats away at our profit. And then we feel like we're underpaid and we're undervalued. And it's this whole terrible cycle that we keep going in. Also, really knowing and understanding how to charge for your expertise is often a challenge. We do undervalue what we do, or we have optimism bias that comes in, which makes us think that we can do stuff quicker than we can actually do it. So the whole aim with Brand Magic is to be able to change all of that. Wouldn't that be relief? Just to even have like 2 of those things. But we are aiming to actually change a whole lot of that with our system. So this particular system all starts with brand personalities. And brand personalities, it's my take on archetypes. So archetypes were developed by Carl Jung, who is a psychologist and philosopher in the early 1900s. And he studied hundreds and thousands of personalities and came up with these 12 archetypes. Now, these archetypes have now been adapted for brand. So Jung didn't do brand archetypes, Jung did archetypes, right? And Pearson was the one who came up with the fact that we could apply them to brand. And so what we know is that this stuff works because it's based on psychology. This is steeped in science. This is not just a woo-woo thing. This means that any of these personalities, people will unconsciously understand and recognize and know. So when you build out a brand using this system, it means that there's a much higher chance that you can create buy-in and connection with your customers because your brand has a more human-centric focus. Okay, so let's look at this. I mean, this is about what's in it for you, because this is about how do we make your life easier as a creative that works with branding. Number one, you are genuinely going to be able to generate leads from this because our brand personality test is now completely free. Previously, people had to pay $39 to take the test, and we still had over 4,000 people from 47 different countries take the test. So we know the test is validated. But now we've taken the friction out and it's going to be absolutely free for anyone to take. Engaging your customers is a big part of your experience with them when you are taking them on the branding journey. And by doing this test, it means that you are engaging them on a level that they're not normally used to going on. And everybody wants to find out what their brand personality is. I have never met a client who's gone, oh no, I'm not interested in that. This is one piece that not only takes them on the journey, but also gives them buy-in into what their results are. It also allows you to add a psychology-based strategy to your service offering, and for that you can charge a lot more. So yes, we're going to take them on this engaging journey with the client, and what we're doing with this system is we are harnessing the power of AI without you having to learn it, right? Because AI can be overwhelming. It is changing all the time, and it is changing so rapidly. And people say rubbish in, rubbish out, but even if you know how to prompt your AI properly, if you have created your agents that are trained in everything that you do, you can still get crap results. So what we've done with this system is we have built everything so you don't have to learn how to do it, which ultimately is going to save you time. And if we save you time, you can make more money. Hallelujah! That's what we want, right? So this is what the whole system is all about. So hopefully one or two or three of those or all of them will tick a box for you to go, yeah, actually, this could be super, super interesting for me. Now, the massive changes that we have made in the old system is, number one, the biggest one is the fact that the brand personalities test is completely free. It is the most robust brand archetype test you will find on the internet. We now allow clients to choose up to three answers to each question. Previously, they had 12 that they could choose from, and they could only choose one, which some clients found a little bit limiting. So sometimes they will only have one or two answers that apply to them, but they can have up to three. The next thing is that the results, we give a primary and a secondary brand personality, which allows for nuance. Tiz is clapping, yay! So we will have both, which is fantastic because it does give that nuance. And then on the results pages, there will be also the 6 additional family members. So you can hone in even further there. But we also give on the results page, you get access to all 12 unlocked archetype pages, which means that if they did want to go and explore and see some of the others, they are able to do that. Pricing, this is for our Aussies in particular, is in Australian dollars instead of US dollars. This is clapping again, because this is the thing that we were finding that, you know, the US American clients were like, oh yeah, that's absolutely fine. And they didn't really care about it. But for a lot of the Australians, and we have a lot of Australians that do this system, that they were just finding with the Aussie dollar changing all the time, it was just really not great. And then everything is AI driven strategy that is built with the framework of archetypes first. So as we go through the exercises, and Scott is going to demo those for you, as we go through the exercises, when it comes to things like your language and tone of voice, it pre-populates this according to your personality. Of course, you can change things around and mix it up, but everything that is through this entire system puts that personality piece first so that you maintain consistency. And let's face it, the biggest C word in branding is consistency, right? So that is what we want to keep them on track with each and every time. Okay, enough from me. I am going to hand this over to Scott, and he is going to show you what the system does and how it works, because it really is so super powerful. Now, what he's going to demo, we have 3 different tiers for our system. The first tier, don't even worry about that, because we actually, the special that we've got going for you guys up until the end of March is even cheaper than our cheapest tier. So you're winning anyway. You don't need to know about that one. The Alchemist and the Wizard are the 2. So he's going to be demoing the Wizard, because it really is blow your mind insane stuff. And that one is constantly iterating and changing, and will be getting all the new features as they drop. So what you need to understand with this offer, that we'll stay to the end because we'll share it with you, but that is going to be a grandfathered rate. That rate is, if you lock it in now, that is what you are going to get for life, unless of course you unsubscribe and then you decide to resubscribe at another time. But the whole idea here is we want to give you guys so much value that you can really build out any part of the system. You don't have to use all of it, but there's so much in it that you don't need to use all of it. But if you do want to use all of it, you can. So, okay, enough from me. Scott, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Obviously, it's really nice to meet you all. Deb, obviously, how do I live up to that introduction? But I mean, I guess my archetypes is I am a magician, obviously, and I'm also a creator. So they're the 2 that I come. A little bit about me. So those who don't know me, I used to be a marketing director partner with Toast Creative, so one of the big branding agencies in Sydney, before I went out on my own in 2016, because they're more traditional branding focused and I wanted to go more digital. So we obviously do all the branding parts, but mainly we obviously are. So I have a master's in artificial intelligence and digital marketing with UTS, and I still do a lot of projects with councils and local government at the moment in getting them smarter and optimizing the way that they can obviously service, I guess, their local government areas. And yeah, like Deb said, we went on a lovely little walk. She's my amazing neighbour. And yeah, obviously when I'm not in Sydney, I'm at home in the Sunshine Coast. And Deb and I, she literally walks across about 10 steps and she's in my front door. And we've been building something really impressive together. So I'll jump right in and show you guys, I guess, the Brand Magic 2.0 system. So let me just share my screen. Just let me know when you can see my screen. All good? So this is obviously the home page. Now, automatically, when you sign in to your account, you'll see this little bar appear. This bar depends on the tier that you have. So basically, when you sign in for the first time, the system matches the subscription level that you have, and then the whole experience will change depending on whether you're just doing the tests or whether you are what we call a licensee, which is our creative offering. And then when you're a creative and you're on one of the three tiers, you'll see a spell book appear. And that's on this lovely little magic button. So when you open your spell book, we've broken that down into chapters. To make this easier, I did speak to Deb today. We are going to make little videos for each feature of the spell book. But realistically, I guess where it starts is in that lead generation center. So spell book will open like this, the number of brands that you're managing. And then when you start to work on a number of different documents and things, they'll appear here. But ultimately, in the command center, you'll see that you can manage your lead database. Every person who completes your branded test will appear in the lead center, which I'll show you in a moment. You can create embedded and customized tests as a wizard. You can also create links and QR codes as a wizard so that you can share these on social media, printed parts, because we know this is a really powerful lead gen tool. And obviously myself as a brand strategist, I was like, Deb, how do we then use that? Yes, it's embedded, but what about a link, like a live link where we can host it from our social media assets? So I've covered both of those, and also having the ability to then be able to track performance. So looking at, this month, 11 people took the test versus last month, and then the percentage of archetype distribution. So if you're looking at creators, funny because I said to Deb, I don't have many sages in my people that I've surveyed. Does that mean I have a different audience of people? Obviously, I'm a creative, so we tend to hover around other creatives. So that was quite fun. Now, I'll go through the command center across the top first, and then I'll go through the spell book in its entirety, and then I'll go through the command center because that obviously has its own features down the bottom. So in the command center, in the spell book, we have chapters. So command center, my projects, team, integrations, personalization, account, refer and earn, I'm working on, help, and then book a meeting. Under my projects, this is literally where you will create your projects that you're working on. So you can see anyone that does a test, anyone that does a brand personality test from your list will actually appear here as what we call an AI result. So whenever somebody, and I'll give you an example. So Deb, just so before this, I went and did a test with my auntie Lisa. So she owns the company Itty Bitty Puppy Co. So you can see it's actually brought in that result because it's known that that's obviously a recent test that's come in. So I want to create that as a brand in my wizard portal. And then you can see that from that, the result will be here for the brand personality because obviously that's already been done. Now, once I've saved that, I'll go into the various different exercises. So I can then move into a golden circle exercise. Once I go into the golden circle exercise, because I've already got my test result, which you can see was here. So this was for Itty Bitty Puppy Co. Oh, actually, I'll show you the lead thing first. Sorry, it's a bit bouncing over the place. So yeah, that's the exercises within the platform. Let's go back a step. Sorry, I've got terrible internet where I am. So yeah, that's where you create your project, but also all of the things that are accessible through the front end of the website. If you were just a paying customer, as a wizard, you have access to create as many brands as you like as a part of your journey. And then I've got 3 advanced AI tools connecting into this, and I've created in Claude AI, we have a brand strategist, a digital marketing strategist, a UX UI architect. So all of the responses are learning from each module to the next based on the personality. And then the golden circle, and then the value. So everything is learning based on the actual way that a brand strategist or a brand architect would approach the brand, but looking at the responses that you're getting from the clients as a part of the exercises. So that's really important to note. So obviously you'll go through a series of 12 exercises. I'll just show you on my brand because I've already done it. ID's marketing automatically opens that up, and then that generates a brand strategic framework, because in that framework you'll have the brand personality, golden circle, values, SWOT analysis, manifesto. Now we know as brand strategists yourselves, we're not trying to tell you how to suck eggs. So if you want to do this exercise with your teams or with your clients, that's great. So in the back end of the actual portal, we've created the ability for you to post these actual links. And then these links you can add into emails or whatever you might want to do. And then automatically in your brand, which you've then set up, which I'll show you in a moment, you've then got the ability to then share your test results in your branding, however you set that up. Now in the portal, we go back to our exercises. So all of the tests there, I'm not going to go through every single one of them because there's a lot, but ultimately you can then host those and then share them as well in real time. So once you've gone through them, you'll get a tick when each one is completed. But the good news is you can do them with your client. There's some really advanced tools in here, like even things I work with counsel on creating perceptual maps based on human behavior and all that. So we've actually added that perceptual mapping tool in your framework. So you can create perceptual maps to be able to understand white space and where your customers are sitting and where they can find a unique space for market penetration. Really important, amazing tool. The other one that I work on with HubSpot is creating buyer personas. So obviously being able to identify a target audience to create that buyer persona so that we can reach them. So in the buyer persona tool, you can literally use the magic AI button, and using the Claude AI, ChatGPT, and Google, all the tools are all connected in. So for example, you would create a buyer persona. You need 3 to be able to move forward. So you don't create 3 because it creates a diverse segment. You can get more targeted messaging. Obviously, you'll get better product decisions when it comes to consumer behavior. Once you create those personas, you look at the industry that you're in. So say I'm looking at puppy supplies for toy dogs. We sell dog clothing. It's going to show you very quickly. Dog clothing. Okay. Dog clothing for specialized little pups. I know it always tries to make me do this. I'm not in America. Stop trying to make me look like I'm in America. Okay, so then you go generate. And this is obviously looking at all the stuff it's already learned from Battlefield, elevator pitch, manifesto, SWOT analysis, value discovery, golden circle, and brand personality. And then it obviously creates who we could be targeting. So it'll obviously then create the buyer persona based on that. So it's still doing that. There we go. So we've got pickpocket sized Penelope. So she's obviously 38 to 45. She's coastal suburbs, Sydney. She's got a Bachelor of Arts in Visual Communications. It's her range. She's an own operator. And then you can see that it obviously talks about the psychographics of her based on this. So to elevate her dog clothing brand. So this is looking obviously from a business perspective. Then you're looking at the values and the priorities, the behaviors, the habits, communication channels. And what you can do is you save that persona and then you can move on to another one, plus edit it yourself, of course. So that's kind of how those tools work. And like I said, you can share them with your client as well. So there's a whole heap of advanced digital marketing tools, brand strategic framework tools within the platform. Now, when you go into team, if you've got multiple people in your team, Deb, you didn't see this. I just launched this 5 minutes before the call.
It changes, like this thing changes, like on the day from hour to hour. It's crazy, minute to minute.
Because I spoke to, Emil from Toast, he was like, well, how do I add my team? So if we're going to add a team, and then, because, we can cut down on the number of researchers and things like that the teams are using, because they can utilize Claude AI, who's trained in all these different areas. Now, integrations is obviously really awesome. So we can obviously have you guys being able to, some people have their own CRM system. So my agency, I use HubSpot. We're also a HubSpot Solutions Gold partner, so we create HubSpots for people. So any leads I do, I want to go into my CRM, not into some, an email database that I'm not managing. So I can obviously link in my HubSpot database and I put in my GUID code. So now my leads from my test results go into HubSpot. You might want to create some triggers. So when an email gets fired off, You might want to have something coming from MailChimp, so we can create those automations now. In the trackings and analytics, because you want to be able to track Google performance, Google metrics. This is probably going to blow some people's mind, but obviously for me as a digital marketer, we want to be able to track every single performance. I want to know how long people are spending on page through Google Tag Manager. I want to know who's pushing buttons, where they're going, etc. So basically what I've done with the new Brand Magic is we've added all of that in the system. And, you know, we can talk through setting up with you guys later if that's what you want.
Scott,
this is exciting.
So before you do that one thing that I don't know about you guys, but if I do brand strategy with clients, when I was doing it, you know, I would spend a day with them or a couple of hours, whatever it was, doing the brand strategy. And then I would go away and I would spend weeks putting the whole strategy together, collating all the information, making sure that it made sense, everything. And the client, all they saw was the fact that I was charging them, you know, $5,000-$10,000 for a one day, but it wasn't the one day. The one day was the first little bit, and then I had to go and do all the work. And so with this strategy, as you're inputting the data, it is building out your strategy in real time, so that when you go and you hit output, it has the entire strategy in a document as well as an online format as well. So it means that all of your information is there like within minutes, rather than having to spend hours and hours and weeks trying to put that information together.
Yeah, like and so it's I mean, once you start using it, it's amazing. I'm literally using it in my everyday life now. I was always leading with brand leads, but so that's where that kind of sits. Personalization is where you would create the branding that you want on any reports, any emails that go out, any of those triggers. So, because yes, you heard right. We want the report when someone does your test, I want it to go in your branding, because at the end of the day, this is about you and your brand. So it's not about us, it's not about Brand Magic. So anything that goes from your portal, if you're a wizard and you've got your actual custom setup in your configuration, we don't see the lead. It's your lead, you to manage it, we don't get it. And that's the best practice that I said to Deb. So it's all about you. So you would have your branding, as you can see what I set up in the other one. And this is Lisa. So Lisa did a test. If I could show you back here. So Lisa did this test here. So she's a creator and a hero. And then automatically you can see this is all hosted within that platform. But that lead then came into my email, because I did my email, and there it is. So Lisa Marie, ideas, marketing, branding. And then all the way down, they can obviously see the idiom that comes from the system, but it's your brand, so it comes from you. So this is super exciting. As a wizard as well, you can also create your own CTAs. So we wanted you to guys have your own ability, not in the email, but on the results page. So if you wanted to then set up a meeting and you're a wizard, you can set up your own CTA. So then book a strategy call. Let's talk about your result and move them forward to the next phase. This is super exciting. So that's under the command center, I've created the ability for you guys to create links, like live links. So links and QRs. So automatically you can now create a link, and the link is basically your branded link of what you're offering. So you can see that uses now, you don't always have to have it as an embedded tool. You can literally have this branded so that it's like your company branded link and how that presents. You can also have a QR code. You can download this, like I said, and put it on printed parts. Now, as a wizard, you can have, like I said, the CTAs, but you can also have multiple exercises and links. So any links and things that you publish will appear here. You can make them public or you can hide them, but anything you want to then create as a live link from the exercises, you can simply do that within this platform. Now, one of the biggest things when it comes to being able to create a brand for somebody, it's that key stakeholder interview process. So after you understand their brand personality, and so that you can raise the average invoice value, within the platform, I've created the ability for you to create those key stakeholder interviews. So, because this is really important, and then host those live links for customers. So if you're going to go into create a key stakeholder interview and say we're doing this for, this is Itty Bitty Puppy Co. We know that they're an e-commerce online business that sell dog accessories. Specializing in small breeds. All right, so once again, the industry we know is pet supplies. We want 10 questions. We want, it's basically general brand. And then you don't have to put anything there. And then this is obviously looking at the pet industry, the information that we want for an e-commerce business, and then it'll create that there. So when you think about EDB Puppy Co, what are your top 3 words, phases immediately come to mind, and why do those words specifically resonate with you? Can you describe your unique personality or vibe of Itty Bitty Co if it were a person? So you can obviously help them with that. Itty Bitty Puppy Co disappeared tomorrow. What impact would that have on customers and the broader market? The best part is you can then create this as a link. Stakeholder interviews. Then I can actually create that link, put it in an email and say, thanks so much for completing your brand personality, just so we can move forward and being able to, you know, I guess, assist in creating your brand. We just wanted to ask you a few questions regarding the brand. So you've then got to, this then gets sent to them. And then this information is once again being captured as another richer lead source that you guys can use as a part of that customer journey process and building a brand. What do you guys think so far? I know it's a lot of information, but be keen to hear what you think.
Holy shit.
I haven't finished yet, Tiz.
Oh,
There's so many questions.
And there will be, and I get that. I am going to make a video on every module. I'm going to create a help center in the Wizard portal. So we're going to create a help center. We're going to
Dude, I love you. You talk a million miles an hour, just like I talk with my hands. It's fantastic. But there's so much there. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and like I said to Deb, I can't do this in an hour. It's not realistic.
Look, there really is a hell of a lot involved in this, and so, you know, as a strategist, obviously best practice would be to be able to take your client through all 12 exercises. But the reality is that sometimes the client is just not going to give you that particular option. So, you know, you can set up a strategy session and you could probably smash out, 6 to 8 of these exercises. But then you can still create these stakeholder interviews and send these as emails for them to fill in on their own as well. So that takes a lot of the time pressure off you. And then all of this information that they then fill in will pre-populate into their entire strategy. So it's actually doing a lot of that heavy lifting and that work for you. So the whole idea about the system is work smarter, not harder. Every single AI section that we have, you can edit. It's not, you don't have to use the AI piece. You can use the magic AI simply to help you do that, the hard yards. And then you can go in and you can add your own nuances and that type of stuff. So absolutely fine to do that. Yes, Stuart.
I think Tiz, I had a question as well. So, and then we'll go to Stuart.
Well, no, am I right to assume there's a few people here that are potentially existing users and maybe potentially new users?
I think everyone here is an existing user.
No.
What that offers only,
No, not everyone's new. So not everyone's existing. There are some new.
Okay, so as an existing user, I just wanted to know, so obviously I've got on my website where people can connect and run the do I need to change a lot of the back end stuff on my website to get this new
Basically, I'll answer that. Basically, you'll need one page in your website, not 20, what you have to create.
Well, I've only got one page, but do I need to change the back end? The back end commands.
Yeah. Scott, do you want to just show the link, the code? So basically,
you don't have to go into the details.
No, it's. I'll just show you. Under the is it under the command center?
Yeah, it's embedded. So basically, under the embedded code, you've basically got one. So this is it here. So say, for example, I go into this is the information. So put your brand colors. Put in your brand colors. You put in your logos. You put in your slug that you want, and then.
So do I have to set all that up again? Like, is there a new setup?
Very easy, Tiz. Like, it's literally going into your website, Like, Deb, maybe go in the back end of brand personality and show how easy it is.
It's okay. You just have to tell me that it's because I'm going to get my VA to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, Tiz, honestly, they will be able to do it in a matter of minutes. So basically, what
Are you
will...
using WordPress?
So it's an easy transition, is what you're saying.
It's so easy. That code, that embed code down there at the bottom of the page, you just hit the copy button. And the current code that is in your site, you just replace it with this one and everything changes. Everything's done.
Okay, so the other question I have is, so I was a bit confused because in your initial slides, Deb, you said it's free, but then you said it's in AUD like in Australia.
So the test.
Nobody has to pay to do the test anymore. So it is a true lead magnet tool.
So what is the dollars thing then?
That's your subscription.
That's the subscription to access.
Our subscription.
Yes. So you know how you've been paying the subscription to access
and then
it?
I charge people to do the test.
Now you don't have to charge.
Whoa!
Yes.
No more tokens. That's the first thing I changed. I said, Deb, this is an amazing tool, but these tokens are actually limiting the reach of what this test can be. As a marketing agency, we want to be able to create leads. We want to be able to say, take this free test. Let us help you. So you'll use it top of funnel, no longer middle of funnel, or, you know, it needs to be a top of funnel tool. And at the moment, it's been set up as a middle of funnel tool.
Oh, yeah, but I need a side Zoom with you.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay, so in regards to the embedded test, we also wanted to make it, at the end of the day, this is your test. I think how do I get rid of this? There we go. Okay, can you guys see my screen still?
Yeah.
So in here as well, then in the current test, you know, with on Brand Magic's website, when we have the test, it's obviously Deb is producing the test because, you know, that's Deb and she does her test and then she does, you know, what it's all about. We've also created the ability, you guys are professionals in your own right, so create your own video. You know, we can hide the intro section and you can create your own video. So if you don't want the Brand Magic video, create your own. So you can then go on YouTube, make your own video, load it to YouTube, and then you can say, welcome to your website. You know, as brand strategists, we'd like to start with our brand personality test, and then you have it jump right in. And then you hide all our branding, or you hide any branding. So you don't want any branding because it's already going to be embedded within your website. So you don't want this branding to appear because the logo, it's sitting within your website. So then you would hide the banner and you might want to hide the intro altogether, and then you would save those settings. So, but that's not skipping it. So now you would say skip the intro and then hide the banner and then save it. So now the embedded code will now be very simple. So if you then go into the links, because I've hidden everything, and I go open.
Ignore what I just did. I'm just getting too excited.
Now, so this is obviously the hosted link, so that's different. So you should always, with the hosted link, have your branding because you don't know where that's coming from. So the hosted link is when they're coming from a QR or an actual link or a button that you've created on some kind of marketing stimuli. So that's kind of, when that comes in, it comes into your branding environment. Obviously, I've removed Deb's video, and then I've got it coming into my brand. So straight away, what type of branding you're looking to build. So this is really cool. This is a great tool to have, you know, create some marketing pieces. If you're doing a workshop or anything like that, you can have a QR code, which then links through to this exact environment.
Stu, you did have a question?
Yep. What was Stu's question?
And I just wanted to say, in terms of those questionnaires that you were talking about, it's a great way to just build engagement and buy-in across the business, because often people feel they couldn't make the workshop, they left out, they didn't have a say, it's not my thing. What do I have to add? What do I know about branding? But that's a great way to actually get people actually to feel like they're involved.
Yeah,
and actually have them involved.
100%. And you know, things like a SWOT analysis, as an example, it's an important thing to do. But often, like if we're putting together a brand strategy, the SWOT analysis might be something that we go, well, we just don't have time for that. you can actually pre-send the client this particular link for them to go through the SWOT analysis. And the interesting thing with this is that when they fill in this information, you can then click the magic AI button, and what it will do is it will analyze at the end, it will analyze the entire, all of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and it will tell you where you need to improve things. It will tell you what things you should keep doing because you're doing them so well. It will tell you all of that information and give a very quick action-based strategy immediately off the bat that they can take with them and go, oh, this is actionable stuff that I can do right now, which is amazing.
I'll just quickly, because I've obviously got one that I did. So you can go into SWOT. So once you've filled it out and it creates the SWOT analysis, my favorite tool in here that we built is the values tool, and Deb knows why. Because, like, you know, I find I am the biggest. I'm turned off the most by values that are just generic words. And so many companies, even in Australia, I know in particular, the brands that I work with, they've got these boring values, and I'm like, how does that mean anything to you? It's like
innovation, connection, and teamwork.
They're positions of entry, and you're only looking at it from one side. But myself, I obviously know there's external factors and there's internal factors. And then when you put the two together, then you get the company value. So I've actually created with Claude AI and the way that we create values, that's probably my favorite tool that we've built in the system. And that's like here, so the values exercise tool.
I love the brand name, only because I don't know if any of you guys have done name storming before. I call it name storming instead of brand storming, but name storming, because it is so hard coming up with names, and then the clients fall in love with one name, and then you find out that that name's actually not available, and then it's like, oh, and then they fixated on it, and no matter what you say, you cannot get them off that train. So the name, you can choose how you're going to create the name, but then you can check if it's available as a domain name, which is super handy. So here you can choose it based on whether you want it based on the personality, or maybe you want something that's a little bit of brandable names, or something that's a compound of names, depending on what you want. But in this case, you know, using the brand personality. And then you can say, when in the next screen, you can then go and say, well, how complex do you want to make it? Do you want to make it very random or not too random? So you might go medium based here. And then what it does is it will brainstorm names for you based on your personality. You fill in obviously all your information, and it comes up with all these different names, like within seconds. Like, this takes out, and then you can go through and go, oh, I like those, or I don't like those, or take that out, and you can then put those together and research the ones that you like the most. So it does a lot of that heavy lifting for you, and you can do this. You can do all the different types of searches. So you might do one on your personality, you might do one that is, you know, a little bit more based on randomness or whatever. So you can come up with a whole heap of different ideas that you can now deliver to the client super, super quick and easy. And here, even like your different taglines, and
you can obviously, once again, too, we know that you guys are also copy, you know, as creatives, you also have great ideas with copy. So, you know, enter a little bit of your own stuff. And then you can use Claude AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, based on everything that it already knows. Because by this point, you can imagine it already knows your brand personality, it knows your why, how, what, it knows your values, it knows your SWOT analysis, it knows your manifesto, your elevator pitch, battlefield. So that means it's your brand positioning. It then knows the buyer persona, so the audiences. So it's obviously going to be able to help you get to, and it, obviously, you know, we're only one mind. When you look at AI and the way that it's going, and what I'm working with councils and things like, it's incredible. But we've got AI systems now automating when the drivers have to go and make complaints about rubbish removal, and like it's insane. And if you don't get on board, you're going to get left behind. And we wanted to give you the tools to then be those brand strategists.
And so the idea behind this is that we really wanted to bring all these tools, make them affordable, because let's face it, you know, if you're doing a brand strategy with your clients, you're not just charging, you know, a couple of $100 or a couple of $1,000. Like, it needs to be a chunky amount of money, because there's a lot of strategy and thinking in this. Now, if you're able to use this tool, where even if you just charge the same amount that you're charging, but it allows you to do it in a third, a quarter of the time that it previously did. Suddenly you have so much more time available to you. But because you've got so many tools here, it means that you can actually charge more, and you can almost build out the brand strategy to say, and if you want this, and if you want that, and if, it becomes almost like a menu that they can choose from to make out their brand strategy as well. I love this one with the brand tone of voice.
Yeah, well, because I love tone of voice as well, but so many people get tone of voice wrong because they don't think about the planets and moons around the tone of voice. So one of the things is that you've got obviously your main tone of voice, but then you've also got under engaging or under the tone territories, there are a number of ways and characteristics with each one of those. And then, so a tone of voice would have 3 or 4 different tone territories. So based on everything that it already has learned and based on the tone spectrum that you've identified, it then creates those planets and moons so that you can create a really sensible communication strategy.
Do you want to show your values? Because I know you love the values.
So values come in based on, obviously you've done the brand personality, and we know that values a lot of the time will align to the various different archetypes within the brand. So what we've done based on the why, how, what, and the brand personalities, the values will come in and it'll highlight the values that match the creator or the hero type or whatever the archetype is, or the personality as we're calling it in here. So innovation, creator, and then it automatically defines some territories that would be relevant. The boring ones, don't look at them yet. Curiosity, resourcefulness, pioneering, ambition, because these are all the position of entry words that most people have as their actual values, but it's not getting to the richness of the company. So once you've then got them and you've selected enough to create the territories, it then goes to the value territories. So we know we need a value on innovation and growth. We know we need a value on integrity and trust. We know we need a value on people and relationships, and we know we need a value on excellence and impact. This is where most people stop. The way that I approach value is I look at it, what the value would be externally, looking at all of what it already knows, which is obviously here. So we are a team that boldly embraces curiosity, challenging, pioneering spirit, our pioneering spirit, resourcefulness, consistently innovate and create, fostering an environment where ambition fuels, blah, 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 blah. Then we go, what does it mean to our customers? And this is using an incredible selection of tools. And then we then create, so we've got the external and we've got the internal. Now we can create the company value for innovation and growth. This will blow you away. So, igniting possibilities together. That's the company value. And then the united value for that territory. So imagine when you're creating value territories, you've got a custom value that means something to that business. So it's not just, innovation, or it's igniting possibilities, together. That's the company value. And then we create a united territory value. So we're a bold, curious team channeling and blah, 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 blah. And then the best thing about this is you can do this for all of them. So you go internal staff, external customers, and you can also edit them. Like I said, you're not going to be told how to do everything. Now we're going to create the value for, this is now our word, our bond, the value for integrity and trust. So our word, bond. People and relationships, same thing. This is the boring people and relationships. Here we get it, the position of entry. So the value actually is stronger together, always. Love that. A bit more warmer, connect to that. There's obviously, it's a bit more like a why statement for a brand. So that why statement is where you're going to build that loyalty. It's the same with internal and external factors of building values. When you get to the essence of the actual company and what it really stands for internally and externally, that's when you'll drive, that's when people get excited. So once you've done all of that, you then go to actually create the territories, the true company values, which is this: igniting possibilities together, our bond, our word, our bond, stronger together always, crafting excellence and delivering impact. And then what we can actually do as well from that is then create the united value statement from a company looking at all of our values together. And then it obviously creates that. So a bold, curious and dedicated, we cultivate unwavering integrity and collaborative spirit, consistently pushing boundaries to deliver exceptional, impactful solutions that empower our shared growth and forge a future of opportunity for all. Beautiful.
And can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
You can still edit that. So if you don't like the word forge, you can say create a future.
Absolutely, yeah. You can see how you can go into here and you can edit any of these you'd like. Like I said, use these to your advantage, but then add your own touch on them as well, because you guys are on presenting it. You got to be comfortable with the tone and everything like that.
Yeah, so sorry, Stu, go.
So can I just make a joke here? We're all in the Southern Hemisphere. So instead of the North Star, shouldn't it be the Southern Cross that's guiding us here?
Exactly.
Yeah, we
might Europeans.
Yeah, might have to do that.
That'd be quite funny, but obviously we're global, so I don't know if we can do that because then no one else would get it. So, but don't challenge me, Stuart, because I'll come up with a way that automatically we detect what region we're in and we're going to switch it out.
No, Americans wouldn't understand that. They'd be lost immediately.
So what we're really trying to do here is, AI is a tool. AI is going to be to business what Word, Microsoft was to business, right? It's just a tool and we need to not be scared of it. But the reality is, can you imagine if people turned around and went, oh, I'm not going to type my letters up in Word, and they're still sitting there on their typewriter or writing it by hand? It doesn't even make sense. So what we want to do is we want to create this as a tool for you. It's not the be all and end all. It is simply something for you to be able to use to get you from A to B smarter and faster. And that way you can use what you need when you need it. It's not an all or nothing scenario. It's not like, oh, well, if I don't use every single thing, it's a waste. No, absolutely not. You can use what you need.
100% that, but I will say, if you are going to use these tools, start raising your average invoice value. Because myself, I charge $30,000 for this process with councils. So you guys, you should be doing, if you're going to be taking customers through all of this information and you can really start to present at the end of it a brand DNA, you're not just creating a logo, you're creating the strategic framework before that. And we wanted to help with that as well. And Deb, I just got an email back. Canva has approved our API. So we will be outputting the brand strategy document into Canva for that customization for their own brand reporting and documents. So that was another thing I've been working on.
So one of the other things is with the Wizard, we are constantly coming up with ideas as to how we can make the system better, bigger, more robust, more tools for you guys to be able to use. So in the Wizard, you will automatically get access to all of those things. And one of them is being able to connect this API with Canva. So if you do use Canva, or you've got clients that are using Canva and you need to output a lot of this content into Canva for their templates, we'll actually be able to do it within the system. Not yet, but it is coming because that's some of the stuff that we're working out. But yeah, here we go. Even like this is coming. So this is stuff that, like, when I say
this is actually done, it's tested.
It was launched. It was literally launched last night at like 10 o'clock. So it's brand new. I haven't even tested it yet. But here you can choose your colors. You can lock colors down. You can generate different color options. Now, amazing. Imagine how amazing this is. Like when you're dealing with a client and they're trying to come up with a bunch of different color palettes. And it's so hard to go through your different color palettes, trying to put all this stuff together. This will be able to allow you to do all of that.
Yeah. So
this is it's there, but I haven't even tested it yet. It's so new.
But yeah, so like, you can also get colors.
You can upload an image. So if you have a particular image that client maybe loves an image and it says this is great, you can actually upload it and extract colors from that particular image, which is amazing.
The main thing is that when you get to the end of the strategy framework, it'll obviously create the brand strategy document or the brand essence document, which has all of the elements that you can then put into a presentation if you wanted to then send that, because this is really what this is the essence of the company. And from the essence, we create a creative brief to then move into creative conversation. So once you've then got the creative conversation, then you can move into the creative. And then that's where color palette, typography treatment, mood board generator, That's where this will then start to create the brand. I'm literally going to go as far as logo creation, website creation. We'll have an AI website creator based on everything it knows around your brand. There'll be the SEO analyzer, campaign creator. It's incredible where it's going. I'm working on heaps of exciting things, which will all be available to you guys as wizards.
So I know that there's a lot. I understand that. Totally.
I need a day to go through this realistically. Maybe we need to do that in the future, is have a workshop somewhere in each capital city. And Deb, you and I go on the road. It's brand magic on the road.
Yeah.
But can't you guys just do like a step-by-step YouTube video on, how it works? And so you got a new client, and your new client's sitting with you, and you go, okay, first step, right, let's do this. Yeah. And that is something then which would make it easier for us to identify with, where we can go and we can stop and we can go, okay, cool, we know about this, okay, cool, because it is a lot to take in. But I think it's an amazing magic tool. And I think for us, it could definitely help, because a lot of us don't know what questions to ask, especially now. And we use AI a lot, and we use Claude, and we're using all these things already. But when you put it into your system, it brings it all together, which makes it even more magic. So I would love to use this on a client. So maybe the way to do it is to take a new client and take them through the process. And that's the video that you share with us, so that it's not overwhelming and how you do it. And I love the way that you can edit, instead of using the word forge, you want to use the word this, and then the client has these names, they want nourished foods and they want this and this, then you put their ideas in, but it's already taken. So what are the alternatives?
Yes,
I think it's brilliant.
Well, thank you, Jeanette. And you know what the interesting thing is, you're saying you're using Claude, and that's great, but a lot of people are using all these softwares, but they're not using them as an agent. So I've created an agent in Claude. So we have a UX UI architect, and they're trained in all the areas around their expertise or their discipline. So
you're right, because for us it's hit and miss.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is not going to be hit and miss, because the Claude you're talking to with Brand Magic is a brand strategist. It's a UX UI strategist. It's a senior architect of system design. Like, it's insane. I'm going to literally do myself out of a job, I think, but it's scary.
Yes, Jeanette, thank you for that feedback. We are planning on doing a series of videos. And yes, possibly one long one going through every single step, but most likely also breaking them up into the different sections. So when you get to your different exercises, there will be a video in there going through it.
We're going to create, when you first log in as well, we're going to create an onboarding module. So it might take you a day or so to go through everything with a step-by-step guide. So I haven't yet written that code, but what we're going to do is when you log in for the first time, you get little pop-up bubbles. You know, like when you first go into something you don't know that's complex, and it'll go, welcome. Now we're going to create the brand. After we've created the brand, we're going to customize your links, and then go to customization and go to personalization. And I'm doing that 100%. There's so much to go through. I literally need to create that. But most importantly, we're giving you guys, I think, was it 7 days for free? You'll go in and just do everything you want to do yourselves.
Yeah.
Best way to learn.
So we've got this this particular link that only you guys are going to be able to see, because it's not on the main website. If you go on there, you will see the Alchemist and the Wizard. But if you go onto the main website and you have a look on there, what it will show you is what is included in each module. So if you go and click brandmagic.com.au and then you go to the creatives page, what it will show you is what is included in each one. But this special offer is something that we're not going to be doing again. It's a really, really good offer, but because obviously we've got people who have been on the system for quite some time, and also we've got some new friends that we want to share the love with, you will be able to get access to this. But what we're also doing with this is that you can go in and you can use it for a week for free. Like, just go and play and try it and test it, and do all the things that you want to do with it. And then if you decide to go ahead, then payment will kick in after a week. But if you decide it's not for you, that's okay as well. Like, I am very, very much of the opinion that we need to be able to deliver you something that you need, that you want. And if it's not right for you, that's okay. It's absolutely fine. Like, I don't want anyone to feel pressurized or anything like that. So this is really about coming up with a tool that is going to be valuable for you and for your business, and be able to make you work smarter, not harder. You'll be able to charge a whole lot more. Imagine adding all of those 12 exercises into a quote for a client. Like, they're going to go, holy smokes, there's a lot here. So they're not going to balk as much about having to pay a much bigger ticket item. So my challenge to you is, if you are going to decide to use this system, then my challenge to you is, I would love to see you double your offering and give it a go.
So I've got another question.
Yeah.
Sorry, Babes. So say for instance, like, we always go like, as a small agency, we go up and down where people, we develop brands for people, but then we're doing videos and we're doing this and we're doing that. So we're not using the brand tool all the time. Would there be an option going forward that when you have a customer that wants this brand magic to happen, you could pay per when you need it, as and when you need it? So you're not paying a monthly subscription fee, you're paying a once off every time you need it. Would there be that option? Because we sometimes have 3 or 4 months where we're on a big project where we started with this, but we now are finished, and then it goes on and on for 3 or 4 months, and then we're paying that monthly subscription, which we don't use.
Yeah, 100%. So you can just use the tool as just the standard normal tool. So when you go onto the website, just as a normal business owner, that can be used, and that is done as a one-off. You don't have the analytics or all of that kind of stuff, but maybe you don't need that. So they can still do the brand personalities test for free, and then it's $399 to do the actual strategy piece. So you can do that.
So we could pay that once off, the $399, because we could charge them then. That's what I'm saying. That's so right. We do the test and everything, and then they pay the $399, and they get at the end, they get the strategy and everything else that pops up.
100%.
The only thing with that is that's not you working with them. So that's them doing the test on our website.
Them doing it themselves, yes.
It's not available the other way around. So this is really what we are doing as ourselves. We're going to market this to entrepreneurs and all of that, and then they will create their own brands. It's a separate tier, right? They don't get access to a spell book. They get just a standard portal. So their portal will be a little bit different. So the portal doesn't have access to lead gen tools. It doesn't have the leads. It doesn't have anything. All it has is my brand. And then they're creating basically the test. So they're creating their own brand, which starts with the brand personality test here if they haven't already done it. It's a little bit different. If you're going to be working with your clients, the minimum you should have Alchemist, and maybe Deb, we could talk about if they need short-term access to maybe there's a bolt-on.
Yeah, 100%. So as I said, this is changing all the time. So if you guys come up with ideas, we'll actually brainstorm this that you've just said, Jeanette, and say, okay, well, how can we make that happen? Or is there a way that we can do it? Because with the wizard, even though, yes, we focused specifically around brand strategy and then brand identity, building out websites will all be part of that. But one of the things that we're looking at is brand activation. So that is like, okay, how do we then bring the brand into the world, which is like the marketing side of things as well. So all of that is going to be evolving and changing. So there'll be a whole marketing module as well that might be beneficial. But I hear what you're saying, and we'll do a bit of brainstorming around that one.
I mean, when you look at it with the offer, because obviously we've done it for you guys at that lower price, which you get for life. I mean, that's not what we're going to be doing anywhere else. And then you've obviously looking at that's 200. What was the price we did for that, Deb? It'll be equivalent to the area you're in. I know there's a different rate for South Africa, but like for Australia, $220 a month. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So is there a South African rate as versus a Australian rate?
Yeah, it's depending on it's based on this is not your rate in South Africa. There's obviously economies to scale we take into consideration. So we've got a different rate for people that are on different locations.
Yeah, I will send.
No, so I
will
think
send you the
mine
rate.
was based on looking at this thing and saying, okay, well, because we don't use it every single month, could we not do it per client based? You know, that it's not for them to do, but for us to do with them. You know, but
you couldn't do that because it's an ongoing development.
No, I know. So that's what I was looking at this price. But if we're looking at slightly lower for South African and more affordable, then it's probably worth it for us.
Yeah.
Because we are always creating new brands all the time.
And we're 100% aware that this is Australian rate. This is a lot in I said to Deb, she goes, that won't work for South Africans.
I was like, that's not going to happen. I know already. I know my audience. That's not going to happen. So,
thank goodness you lived here.
Yeah. So no, what we're going to do is with South Africans, obviously the exchange rate is huge for you guys. So we are very aware of that, and we know that like anything that you have to have access to, you're probably paying US dollars for things, which just blows everything out. We really want this to be something that can be properly used. Bye, Kylie. Thank you so much for coming. So yeah, this is where we'll be working with this. I will be sending you guys a slightly different link, so you will be able to get access for that. But for the sake of this presentation, we just had the one link, but we will have that.
It looks very exciting, and I'm very excited to use it. I am very overwhelmed because there's a lot
we've got that
to learn.
But we got the gist.
You know, and I think once you do it once, and once you've been taken through it, I think it would be it's an amazing app or website. It's just amazing. I think it's going to be fantastic.
That's the next thing. I need to make it into a mobile app so you can do it on the go.
Well, this
is it.
You know what? I think that if you're going to do a brand strategy like this, I would do desktop, just because
it's
I don't know.
lot.
It's a lot, and to do it all on a little mobile phone, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Not really.
The next generation will. My kids would do it on a mobile phone.
The kids will.
Yeah.
Everything else on their mobiles.
I don't know, Scott. Are you in a nice club or something?
Oh no, I'm in space. I'm in the future.
Yeah, he's in the future. Like, we've left the past behind.
I was like, well, you haven't met me before, but now you can kind of get a little bit about what I'm about. So,
Yeah, it's been crazy, busy, insane, fabulous, wonderful, overwhelming experience, and we're on this ride. And we just thought, you know what? Why not? Let's give it a crack, hey? So thank you everyone for coming. Really, really appreciate your time, because I know that everyone's time is very, very precious. So really appreciate that. Watch out for things. I will send the South Africans a link that's a little bit different, so that you guys can have a look at that. All offers finish on the 31st of March. Okay, so as long as you have signed up before then, if you are interested, and as long as you do the continuous subscription, if you unsubscribe, unfortunately you won't get that price back again. But if you stay subscribed, you will have access to that for life. Okay.
All right, thank you, Deb.
Deb told me the price, because obviously I create software for a living. I'm like, oh, that's not a lie. She goes, no, you have to allow. These are my original people, Scott. We have to have this. I was like, okay, Deb.
Yeah. So we're gonna have all of that. Any feedback? Like, do you guys have? I know there's been a lot, but do you guys have any feedback? What are the first things that come to mind?
Yeah, tell me.
Look, I mean, I need to do it first to give you any feedback. I think that You know, I'm loving what it's doing at the moment, and I think that I'm so loving it because it's structured for me, and I'm not just hitting in the dark. You know, so for me, I think I have to do it, and then once I'm doing it, I can write the
Maybe we
questions
can
down.
do the whole thing for sanity or something.
Yes, I can do it
Yeah.
for one of my clients.
Yeah.
You know, and then and just as a test, you know, and then go, okay, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, or can we do this, or whatever. And yes, definitely, feedback is invaluable from anybody.
Yeah.
Yes,
It'd be
and for us
amazing.
as well, we're constantly building, right? So we don't know how you're using it with your clients. So if it's something I can innovate and do overnight, or maybe in a week, I'll do it.
He
Yeah,
will.
100%.
It's overnight at the moment. Deb's freaking out. I'm like,
Every time I go in, it's changed. I'm like, where am I?
So I may use it a little bit differently to some of your providers, as you know, Deb.
Yeah.
But this is amazing. Sign me up. I'm in, right? I'm in, you know me. I can see the benefit of this with a lot of the people that I work with. And I need to do a session with you two to just vomit all the stuff that's going on in my head, right? And see how I can actually utilize what you've already got in the best way possible.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. We will lock in a vomit session. All right. No
yes,
problem.
please. Or you can call it a brain fart.
Yeah,
You can
what
call
I
it a
think
brain
also-
fart session as well. I love
Every
brain farts as well. So,
I
Okay.
think every month we're going to do like a different module. So that way we can, you know, people will be joining at different times. A part of what we need to do is be able to take people through the online session. So in our website, you can see down the very bottom, we've got upcoming webinars and things like that. So we're going to continue to add to that. And we'll continue to take people on learning journeys to learn about different things.
Yeah. Yeah. Stu,
Thank you.
what did you have to say?
For me, it's just, you know, obviously deal with smaller clients who are not as well educated, shall we say. So a large part of the process is educating them on what these different things are, how they apply, etc. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see step by step how this builds buy-in, because they have to buy into what the plan is and what you're saying, and it's not just something that somebody came up with outside. So just going forward, if you had little bits in there that said, you said X, so it means Y, that's why this is here, or your customer was all about this, so it means that, you know, just those little bits and pieces here and there just will help them buy in a bit more and just, but I mean, obviously going through it is going to be key.
Yeah,
I think.
great.
And then that's why we're here to guide them and to help them, and that's what AI can't do, and that's what we can't be replaced with, and to help them make the right choices. And that's why this outcome is actually much better with us rather than just them doing it themselves.
And that's
100%.
brilliant. I think the AI spits out a response, but how it can apply to their brand is up to us as the people that are going to say. And you can see how that matches your archetype, because this resonates with this, and then they go, oh, yeah.
Yeah. And if you guys come across something that doesn't make sense, please let us know, because we can put wording around it or framework around it or create a video or something that will then explain it a lot better. One of the things that I do already is, because I understand that people don't know what an archetype is. So that is why we call it a brand personality test, because people understand what a personality is. Now, an archetype and a personality, they are slightly different, but really, as far as the layperson's concerned, they are one and the same thing. So let's speak the language that our customers are going to understand, rather than hit them with jargon.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. You guys are doing an awesome job.
Thanks, Tess.
Sorry, just one more question.
Yes.
In terms of the countries themselves, like, does it personalize to the country? Because obviously if you're dealing with a US market or an Australian market or a South African market, brands will be different, customers will be different, etc. I'm sure you've built that in, but just asking.
So based on the question, so there's we've done the 5, obviously we've added South Africa, but we've done the US, we've done US, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and South Africa for the learning modules and the way that it communicates. And then the pricing as well. So on the website, you'll see, based on if you're coming from different regions, it'll automatically pick up your domain. Actually, does that work? You guys are in South Africa. When you go to Brand Magic.
Yeah, it does give you a South African Rand price. So that's why I put it in the chat. Just say,
And I
log
think
in
I've had a
and
further
have a look.
conversation with Deb around the pricing. I think the economies to scale in the metric that we created is still not right. So
It's
don't
not right.
be put
Yeah.
off by that just yet. But to be honest, your price is completely separate to that anyway. You're going to be blown away with what the rate works out to be, depending on the economies to scale.
But Stu, because it's using Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini, when you're inputting information for a client, I think it's really important to put your region. So say we're in South Africa, they're wanting to get into the Mpumalanga area, or they are based in South Africa looking for an international market, or it is important to be quite specific around that.
No,
and then
that's what I do, and that's what I've picked up, is that if you don't do that, then it can pull international stuff which has no relevance, and then it's so you've really got to just drill in. But if you put it in the back end, or it's got somewhere there that you have to put that in to make sure it's locked into its brain, then that's great.
Perfect.
It's good feedback. I might actually put it somewhere. I mean, the AI guys are trained in the different areas, but I might actually put in there the region. Maybe we can put Deb in one of the steps before the brand exercise. Maybe
maybe just up front when you're capturing who's this client and where's their operating market, and or somewhere
100%.
there, and where's their business, where's their source of income, or something.
For sure. Guys, I know we've kept you a lot longer than we thought, but hopefully this has been helpful and it's going to work for you. Tiz, I will reach out.
Yes, please.
South Africans, I will reach out as well. And let's see how we can
This
go.
is it, huh?
Yes.
Cool. And then do you have any social media or anything we follow yet? I'm sure you probably don't.
Yes.
'cause
No,
you've
we
been
do.
focused on the app.
Brand Magic
Do you
101. Brand Magic 101.
Oh, that's the one. I saw that. I saw
Yes.
that. Okay.
That is, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, Deb.
Okay.
Thank you so much for inviting us, and it's been amazing.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Cool.
It's a great meeting
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
Scott.
Lovely to meet you all.
Can't wait to get to know
Nice to
you
meet you
more.
all.
I feel like you're my person.